Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crowd Chatter Podcast. I okay, it is. Um, I really need to make sure that this was recording this time because I attempted to just record this entire thing and it did nothing. So I'm a little annoyed that I basically just sat here for an hour doing more or less, talking to a camera and nothing happening. Very annoying. So I'm gonna try and go through this rather quickly. This is my picks for the NBA playoffs. I took a little time explaining it the first time, but since none of it recorded, I'm gonna do this again. But I'm gonna try and do this a little bit faster than the last one. So apologize if you're getting this in a second time, but hey, I'm not gonna shortchange you guys. I'm still gonna give you some, analysis and whatnot. Not like I really know the NBA as much as Swerve or, something like that, but I do know my basketball. Anyways, let's get this started. I'm not gonna take too much time here. I'll have some announcements I'll make at the end of this video, but as of right now, let's get into our NBA picks. We'll start with the play-in games, which are starting in a half hour. Which I think the first one's the Hornets and Hornets and Heat. That's right. But this is the West. So we have the LA Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. Uh, yeah, sorry for the Warriors, but the day and age of being, the best team on the planet, those days are long since over. Steph has been in and out with injuries, it seems like the past few years now. They have Mr. Injury himself and Porzingis, and Draymond Green's also dealing with an injury right now. And then, of course, Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. So it's been injury nightmares for the Warriors this year. And all of them, and, obviously Butler's gone. The other three are all dealing with injuries coming into this game. And question mark, who knows who's playing. And I think Steph's going to be on like a minute restriction. The other guys have no idea. And then for the Clippers, it's not like they're lighting the world on fire either. I mean, Zubats is gone. I mean, swap James Harden and Darius Garland, guy who's constantly seemingly hurt, and then Kawhi Leonard, who's having you know, one of the better, is having really good season again, and is looking like his old self. So I don't really think either of these teams are all that good, but I'll give it to the Clippers, mostly just because they're a little more healthy, I guess. Neither of these two are really going anywhere, but someone's going to have to win. So I'll go with the Clippers to get the win. Why not? And then we have the 7-8 game. So the way to play in works, if you know NBA basketball, you know this, but maybe you don't. So way the play-in tournament works is a little weird. So the winner of the 9-10 game will play the loser of the game I'm about to pick now, which is the 7-8 game. The winner of the 7-8 game will play the San Antonio Spurs. The winner, the winner of the game who has I'm sorry, like I said, this is weird. The winner of this game that I'm about to pick right here will play the San Antonio Spurs. The OKC Thunder will play either the winner of the 9-10 game or the loser of the 7-8 game. I know it's really cockamamie that's how they do it, but, oh well. But for this one, we have the Phoenix Suns taking on the Portland Trailblazers. The Phoenix Suns, the 7th seed, Portland the 8th. Trailblazers are a young team. Not really a ton of experience on this team. Heck, not really even hardly any playoff experience on this team. As for the Suns, certainly have plenty of playoff experience there. Um, I think this will be very intriguing to say the least. The Blazers are young and fun, but I don't really. I'm not. I don't know much about the Portland Trailblazers, to be totally honest with you. But like I said, I know they're a young team, and I think they'll push the Suns for sure. I think Phoenix will certainly have some issues with them, but I think it'll still probably be Phoenix that gets the win and moves on to play the San Antonio Spurs. And like I said earlier, the loser of that game goes to the the 8 seed game, and the winner of that gets to play the OKC Thunder, which I mentioned earlier. I'm not big into the Clippers. There's a reason why. I'm taking the Portland Trailblazers. They'll be at home. Um, they'll get to play the OKC Thunder, but they're at home. Um, I just think overall they're probably a little bit better than the Clippers. I'm not big into LA. The Clippers have just kind of seemingly are starting to blow things up after trying so many large contracts to get large players in, and none of it really ever seemed too much for them. So I think they kind of just said forget it, and they're trying to just offload everybody with Paul George being gone and other guys being gone and James Harden now gone. So we'll see what happens with the Clippers, but to me, I think the Blazers hungry for getting some playoff games in there. I think they knock off the Clippers and move on. On the East, we have the 9-10 game. The Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat. This will be, I believe, yeah, this will be in a half hour now because the last video didn't stinking record, dumbly enough. But for this one, I think the Hornets will get the win in this. I think Miami will certainly make things challenging for the Hornets. I mean, obviously, they just had, Bam Adebayo go for 83 points in the one game. That was a blip on the radar. He's not going to do that again. I don't know he'll get 40 again, but obviously, Bam Adebayo is a very good player. And the one thing that Charlotte has had problems with and really has not been great at dealing with is big men. So, and because their best big man probably is Musa Diabate, and yeah, if you're a Wolverine fan, you know him very well. And yeah, he certainly has carved him. Shout out to them for winning the championship, by the way. Had to work that one in there, but as much as he certainly has carved himself out a role in the NBA, I don't think this is a guy that is certainly going to be able to match wits with Bam Adebayo. But if they can at least, keep Bam from just absolutely breaking the game, I think the Hornets will be able to hold on and they'll end up winning that one and moving on to the 8 seed game where they'll play the loser of Philadelphia and Orlando. Um, Magic are a decent team. They kind of they similar to really. I don't know why both Florida teams seem to just live in the play-in tournament, but I guess they do now. um, but the Magic and the Heat both have kind of just made a living in the play-in tournament since they've implemented it. The Magic have been hanging around here for a while now. Still relatively young, but they're starting to get a little older now. As for the 76ers, is a team that's full of a bunch of stars and never seem to have any of them ever healthy together. Even right now, Joel Embiid is out, and Paul George just came back from his suspension. I don't know how good he's been since the suspension. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey has been incredible. And then they have the really young, I think is a rookie. Is he? I'm pretty sure he's a rookie this year. Maybe he's year two. He might be year two. VJ Edgecombe. I think it's year two. I'm not sure. It could be a rookie. I don't remember. I think it's a rookie. He's a rookie. And you know what? He's a rookie. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. I'm not as well versed in the NBA as Swerve is. Swerve would be able to tell you. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie this year. But VJ Edgecombe, along with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, who knows if they'll ever have Joel Embiid for the rest of this year? He's probably done. He got emergency appendectomy or whatever it is. More than likely not coming back. I think the 76ers will be able to at least beat the Magic. I think they're just a little bit better, even without Joel Embiid, which is arguably their best player. They still have plenty of great talent around him, and it's not like he's hardly ever in a game as it is anyway. So I do think they can at least they'll get the better of Orlando. I think the Sixers knock them off, and they'll get to play the Boston Celtics, and that will send the Magic to the also to the 9 seed game, where they'll face the Charlotte Hornets for the right to play the my own Detroit Pistons. Um, I think this will be a Hornets win. As I mentioned earlier, uh, the reason that I was a little nervous about picking Charlotte or over Miami was their lack of a center presence. Can you really name the center presence for the Orlando Magic? I mean, it's Wendell Carter and Mo Wagner, shout out to another Wolverine. they're all over the place on the Magic for some reason. Uh, but I think this will be a interesting matchup. It should be fun. These are both young, fun teams. So I think that should be a fun game. Should it obviously happen? That's what I think will happen, but who knows if it actually will. But I think that should be a fun one. But I do have the Charlotte Hornets moving on, and they'll get to play the Detroit Pistons. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. But I think they'll play the Pistons, and then that leads us to round one. We'll start in the West. Um, Obviously, the round one games will start on Saturday. This is not one of the games that'll start on Saturday, though. This will be on Sunday, which is the OKC Thunder taking on who I have in the Portland Trailblazers. Um, I'm sorry to poor Portland. um, One problem with having to play the OKC Thunder is they're really stinking good. Yeah, I maybe if they're lucky, they'll get maybe a game. I'm not really even sure they'll get that. I got OKC Thunder an absolute landslide here. Sure, like listen, congrats to Portland to gain to this point, getting back to the playoffs. Well done. You run into a buzzsaw. Uh, be proud if you win one game. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm trying not to be mean, but listen, you're talking about the defending national champs who are now healthy and just have been absolutely incredible all season long. For a young, budding team like Portland that hasn't been in the playoffs, that's a lot to ask. So congrats, but you're not obvious. You're not gonna matching wits with the Thunder is gonna be a tall task. Then will be the playoff series that I think in the first round everybody's gonna want to see, and that is LeBron James versus Kevin Durant, otherwise known as the LA Lakers versus the Houston Rockets. This is probably the best first round matchup I think of the playoffs this year. I mean, when you talk about two guys that are going probably towards the end of their careers, but are still playing at extremely high levels and have been this good basically all their careers. Two Hall of Famers, really. I mean, obviously LeBron's a lock, and you'd have to imagine so is Durant. I mean, he's done too much at this point. So you're looking at two Hall of Famers going head to head against each other. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And with both of these teams, there is the health problem with the Rockets. Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams are both out for the season, and for the LA Lakers, you're missing both Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic right now. Those two could play in this series. We don't really know. As of right now, I don't think they're going to be playing early on, which means it's just going to be LeBron against the Rockets and KD, which is going to be a little bit tough. But I mean, he's done it before. Who says he can't do it again? I think this will be a very fun series. It'll be back and forth. I think both of these teams will be neck and neck, especially because, like I said, it's two Hall of Famers. I think Houston will win this, though. I think it'll probably go 7 games, but I think the Rockets are have a little bit more than the Lakers are going to be able to deal with, especially with Alperen Shen. I think probably more than likely. I mean, you're going to have LeBron and KD going back and forth against each other, but I think the difference maker of this series is going to be Alperen Şengün. The Lakers have had a lot of issues with that center spot for quite some time. They've been trying to fix it over and over and over again. This year they landed on DeAndre Ayton. Uh, Ayton has just never lived up to his number one overall pick hype. He looked okay to start and then just completely fell off a cliff. He's starting for the Lakers, but to me, Shengun's a way, way better player. And then even Houston has other guys just all around KD and Amon Thompson and Jabari Smith. I mean, you got good players surrounding those two as well. Not that the Lakers don't really have another go-to option right now that's healthy, not named LeBron. I mean, yeah, there's Marcus Smart, but um, I think the Rockets are going to be a little too much for the Lakers to be able to handle in this. I'm going to go with Houston to move on, win 7 games, take on the OKC Thunder. Then we have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. This one should also be really fun. Sorry, I keep making sure it's recording. But this should also be a very fun series. Going back to the playoffs in 2024, the year after Denver won the NBA Finals, and then the following regular season, Minnesota actually went 8-3 against the Denver Nuggets. Now, those three losses all came in that playoff series, which was a 3-1 comeback by Minnesota. So the Timberwolves have really been a thorn in Denver's side for a bit here. Um, as of this year, Denver did a little bit better in the regular season. They won 3 out of the 4 games against Minnesota, so a little bit better than they have been doing in the past. But I got another playoff series against these guys. Both of them have a little bit of a different look now. Minnesota has no Karl Anthony Towns. Denver does not have Michael Porter Jr. Both of these two are a little bit different at this point, and I think this is also going to go 7 games. But I think it's going to be more so the Timberwolves really just pushing the Nuggets as opposed to its back and forth. I think Denver will make this happen in 7 games, but I would not be. I think it's going to be very close. I think the Timberwolves will make it challenging on Denver, but at the end, I think it's going to be the Nuggets that come through. And then you got the Spurs and the San Antonio Spurs and the Phoenix Suns. Uh, this is one where I want to say it's a gentleman's sweep, and the Suns at least win 1 game, but I legitimately can't say that. The Suns are all over the place. There's so much going on over there. They're a mess. It seems like, and there's just no uh, real direction with the team. They got like a billion guards, and then they got a random center. Their team structure is totally random. I think the Spurs will absolutely overpower them, and yeah, I think it'll probably be similar to the Thunder, 4 game sweep. San Antonio Spurs go on to the you know semifinals. Then we go to the first round in the East, where we have the Detroit Pistons. We have my Detroit Pistons taking on the Charlotte Hornets. So I think this will be a very tough series for the Pistons. Because of all the teams that I watched playing the Charlotte Hornets and taking on I'm sorry, all the teams I watched the Pistons play. I watched a lot of Detroit Piston games. I basically I didn't watch all of them, but I watched a good portion of them. I'd probably say at least I don't know, maybe in 70% of them. Of all the games I watched, the one team that came at the Pistons with that physical mentality, with that hard nosed, physical style, just like the Pistons played. The only team that responded with that exact style was the Hornets. The Hornets were totally comfortable playing that style against us. And that kind of makes me a little nervous because the Hornets have been really good down the stretch. This is a team that's been absolutely flaming hot, in the second half of the season. They certainly cooled down. I mean, I think they had a 9 game win streak going into the game against us, and we had the Isaiah Stewart implosion, amongst other things. That was obviously a chaotic game. Another reason why I'm not overly enthusiastic of having this series, because I don't know, something like that could happen again. Who knows? I don't want to test it. But this, I think, the Hornets, like, because of that style, I do think this is a series that the Pistons will win. I'll honestly give it a 6 game series that the Pistons take the win and move on to the semifinals. But the thing about this series is, I think the Hornets, because they will respond playing just like the Pistons and doing just that, um, it's going to be really tough for the Pistons in later rounds, because they're just going to be battered and bruised and you know tired, exhausted, and physically, mentally. I mean, all of it. So it's going to be a grueling series, and that will lead to later things. I think in later rounds should they get there. I think they will. I think they beat the Hornets, but it's not going to be easy, and it's certainly going to test them. And then we have the Cleveland Cavs taking on the Toronto Raptors. This is a fun Raptors team back in the playoffs. This is a position they obviously very much wanted to come back to. The Cavs are falling a little bit down from their number one seed the previous year, but these are two very good teams. These are two good teams. For me, I mean, you're looking at both of these teams. The Raptors are full of a kind of a bunch of good. To me, the Raptors. This is what I think the difference of this series is. The Raptors don't have a true, I don't think, go-to guy. Now, I mean, and you could say, oh, well, it's Brandon Ingram. Oh, well, they have Scotty Barnes. Oh, well, and even RJ Barrett can play. Well, that's my point. They have a bunch of it's kind of a situation where you know all where the combination of everybody makes the team as good as it is. And a lot of times that doesn't necessarily add up to, uh, playoff success. A lot of times when you have that scenario, you know, it's like a who gets the ball, and it kind of gets everything just kind of gets a little discombobulated. Some of these guys in the Raptors, haven't been in the playoffs a little bit either. Most of these guys on the team have playoff experience, so it's not like they haven't been there before. But I think the Cavs are just I think a little bit of a better team. I think the Raptors aren't necessarily gonna the Raptors aren't gonna fall flat. I mean, they're certainly gonna, you know, but they're certainly going to, make Cleveland earn it. But I think it'll probably, similar to Pistons, be a six-game series. Um, I think the Cavs knock off Toronto. They move on to play the said Detroit Pistons in the second round. Again, good team, but not, I don't think, good enough to take down Cleveland. And then we go to the next series here, which is the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Um, Hawks were one that kind of surprised me. I didn't really expect them to be a six seed in the playoffs. New look team, no Trey Young. So now you got Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, C.J. McCollum, who they got in the trade for Trey Young. So honestly, since trading Trey Young away, they've actually been better. Um, I just don't know because the Hawks still have this similar mentality of the Hawks still have that similar mentality of heavy offense and maybe not as much defense, but it's kind of the gap has kind of shrunk a little bit. They still are pretty good offensively, but they've gotten a little bit better on the defensive end. I just don't think that's going to be enough to handle what has been what is a very good New York Knicks team. A lot of the Atlanta players have really, other than C.J. McCollum, not many of the Atlanta players have really been to the playoffs. I mean, Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson, I don't think either of those two have been to the post. Well, maybe Dyson Daniels. I don't know. But this is a team that doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. The Knicks have been there, done that several times. It's a very similar situation to last year when the Knicks played the Pistons, because that was the first time the Pistons have been to the playoffs in really several in a while. And for the Hawks, this is their first time being in being out of the play-in tournament and probably quite a bit. So it's a similar situation to that, and I think this is a little bit of a different scenario than that was, because I think the Knicks are. I don't think the Hawks are as good as that Piston team was, and I think the Knicks are probably in the similar line. They might be slightly better than they were a season ago, but I think the Knicks will end up taking down the Hawks here and going to the next round. Well, they'll face the winner of the Celtics and the 76ers, which I think will be a Boston Celtic win in a gentleman's sweep, similar to what I just put in for the New York Knicks. The Sixers, no Joel Embiid. You know, they'll do their best, but without their best player, asking them to really beat a team like the Celtics, who just got back Jason Tatum, and dude doesn't even look like he's missed a beat yet. You know, I think that's a little hard to really be asking of a team that doesn't even have their best player in there. Sure, you got other good players, but when you're missing your best guy, it makes it a little tough to be like, hey, you should be able to knock these guys off. And without your best dude, yeah, okay. So, uh, I think the Celtics move on. And then going back to the West, where we have the Western semis, we have the OKC Thunder and the Houston Rockets. So I like the Houston Rocket team. I think they got some really good players over there. Only problem with this is a very bad matchup for Houston. The Rockets have a little bit of a tendency to turn it over a bit, and OKC is a very good team at taking turnovers and turning it into some good things. So, mm, you know, uh, you have that. You have just a really good OKC team in general. I mean, they're the defending champs, and they're mostly the same team as they were a season ago. These guys are insanely talented. Obviously, this is a KD team, so it's not like the Rockets are gonna, you know, just completely get obliterated by OKC. And pretty much any KD team that gets themselves into the postseason makes it tough on whoever they play. And I think the Rockets will certainly do that to OKC, but expecting, I think, the Rockets to, push OKC to the brink. I'm not really so sure about that. I think OKC will win this in 6 games. Could be 7, but I think the OKC will get done probably in 6 and move on to the Western Conference Finals. Then we have the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, OKC and San Antonio, I think, are probably the best 2 teams in all of NBA basketball. I don't think it's really, I don't know if it's that much of a question at this point. But I do think the only team that probably comes close to those two, at least in the West, and not counting the Pistons because it's not a Western Conference team. But out of the West, I think the only team that really gets close to either of those two, maybe, is the Denver Nuggets, which is why their road to this point is absolutely disgusting. Because you got to deal with a Minnesota team that has had your number for years, a San Antonio Spurs team been that it has been dominant all year long, and then an OKC team that just won the championship and has also been dominant all year long. So if Denver honestly ends up, winning this series and getting to the finals somehow, I think it'd probably be one of the best runs in a while. But I, I'm just not sure that's going to be the case. Um, I think the Nuggets will make this tough on San Antonio, but I just think the Spurs are. Oh, whoops, that's not what I said. I think the Spurs are just a better team, and I think the Spurs will get this done and will make the game that pretty much everybody is expecting at this point, being the collision course between the OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. And why not? There's no reason not to believe those two will go head to head. And so next you'll have so you're going to have that over in the West. On the East, you have the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think these two will probably be in a really tight contest all the way through. I think it goes 7 games, but I'm going to give it to the Pistons here. I can see this one going either way. I like, obviously, I'm a Pistons fan. I like the Pistons team, but I also like what Cleveland has. I mean, James Harden has obviously been there, done that several times. Maybe not the best playoff performer, but you also still have Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, like you name it, they still have all kinds of just very good, talented players that will make things very challenging for the Pistons in the playoff series. So I think this is a one that goes either way. These two have obviously seen each other plenty of times over the years. I think it'll be the Cavs, though, that fall a little short here, and the Pistons will continue to move on. They go to Eastern Conference Finals, and then we have the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Um, I think that, I think most people are probably going to go heavy Boston here. and really ride on the Jason Tatum train. I think this one probably goes all seven, just because both teams are healthy. Both teams are healthy. Both these teams are very good. I mean, last year the only reason it only if completely fell apart was because Boston ended up losing Jason Tatum. Now you could argue this year they don't really have a great center presence, with it pretty much just being Nikola Mirotic and throw whoever else in there like a Luca Garza or something. But I think this goes seven, kind of because of that, and also because I think the Knicks are just a good team. Um, I think it becomes very close and very tight, and I could see either one of these teams winning this, but I think it's gonna probably be the Celtics that get it done. As I mentioned earlier, Jason Tatum has come in and basically looked like Jason Tatum before he tore his Achilles, or was it ACL? I don't remember which one it was, but he's looked like the same guy before he got hurt, and that's a scary thought because him and Jalen Brown together are insane, and that's not including the other guys that are still over there in Boston. So this is it's been insane what they've been able to do. Um, Now going and so they go on, they move on to take on the Detroit Pistons. Next we have this is the NBA Finals. Technically, it's not. It's the Western Conference Finals, but to me, winner of this probably is going to win the finals here. Um, OKC Thunder and San Antonio Spurs. This is the playoff matchup that everybody wants to see, and there's a reason why. I think they're the best two teams in the NBA. So you get these two facing each other, and just sit back and watch the fireworks. It's going 7 games. You already know it. San Antonio has actually had the upper hand on the Thunder in this year. I believe they beat them pretty much every time in the regular season except for once. So it's been been the Spurs have had OKC's number, but with both of these two healthy, how will this go? I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. But in this matchup, I'm going to give the slight, and I do mean slight edge, to the Thunder. Think OKC probably gets this done. They move on to the next round, or well, next round. They move on to the NBA Finals. Take on the winner of whoever wins in the East, which will be for me, the Detroit Pistons and Boston Celtics. I want to be the homer here, right? I'm a Pistons fan. Of course, I want to be the homer here. I want to pick the Pistons. I can. Give me Boston. I'll go 6 games. I won't go gem and sweep, but I'll go 6 games here. I already said like a million times. I'm not gonna totally completely repeat myself again, but Jason Tatum's back. Uh, with Jason Tatum, Boston I think is a completely different team. Not to mention you also still have what am I blanking out? Jalen Brown, Derek White. I mean, there's going to be a lot for the Pistons to try and handle in that kind of series. And even in the regular season, when they didn't have Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown, they already were having, serious problems beating them already. So uh, I just don't really see. I mean, listen, anything's possible. The 7 game series, but if you're asking me, I got Boston. And that leads to a NBA Finals for me, where I think ironically I had this last year too, which is the OKC Thunder and the Boston Celtics. I don't remember what I necessarily went with last time. I don't know if I said OKC 1-7 or 6 or something like that, but for this one, I'll still say OKC, and I'll say in 5. Um, the Thunder are just what like I kind of said with Boston. Just I mentioned it earlier, center position's a little sketchy. I mean it's kind of just Mirotic, and I don't even know who the other centers are. I mean, I mentioned Luca Garza. I think he's one of them, but as for the other one, I couldn't tell you. Power forward spot, I think it's probably gonna be Jason Tatum, but for OKC, I mean, you've seen their roster is enormous, and the Thunder when they're healthy, just good luck. I legitimately think the Thunder could be the very next dynasty in the NBA. I mean, obviously we saw Golden State terrorize the league for a while there, but I think the Thunder are probably on pace to basically do what they just did. Um, they obviously the Pacers pushed them last year. We'll see if maybe somebody from the East can do it again this year. Obviously, maybe the Spurs could be done this time too. But we'll see. It's gonna be another fun season of NBA playoffs. Gonna be one to watch. Especially that Thunder Spurs series. If that happens, sign me up. um, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There'll be more videos to come. Obviously, we've been kind of in and out with being active and whatnot. But this time, come next week, will actually be a round one mock draft for the NFL that I'll be doing. As that coming weekend will also be the NFL draft itself in Pittsburgh. I'll just mock the first round. I'm not going to do all seven. That'd take forever. So I'll mock draft the first round of the NFL come next week, and then 2 weeks after that will be will be my first monthly review for the MLB. We forgot to really do that for the NBA. Get busy. We need to do that for the NBA too, but I do it for the MLB. Um, 2 weeks after my NFL video will be an MLB month. Will be my first monthly review of the MLB season. Talking about all the teams, how our teams doing. You know, kind of reviewing the expectations that we had of these teams to begin the season. How are they looking right now? You know, who's a surprise? All that, yada yada yada. You get the point. So that's it for this video. And until the next video, adios, everybody.